Hello everyone. This video discusses invasive species worldwide. But first, let's talk about what an invasive species actually is. Invasive species are introduced into a new environment where they are not native and thrive because the conditions favor them. Native species must then face unfamiliar competitors, similar to encountering an opponent who uses a gun while you're only wearing gloves. We will begin by exploring the first 4 species in this video. First, Asian carp. First up is Asian carp, which includes species like grass carp, bighead carp, black carp, and silver carp. Asian carp are among the most invasive fish in the Americas, causing damage and capable of infiltrating any body of water. You've probably seen videos of these carp leaping out of the water like this, or like this. While it may seem amusing, I recommend wearing a helmet if you're around. Asian carp can weigh up to 100 pounds, though most in these videos are likely around 10 pounds. Anyway, I would never want a 100-pound fish leaping at me. These fish leap when they hear loud noises, like boat engines, and can hit people, potentially causing broken bones or unconsciousness. Whew, that was close. But that's just a small price to pay. Asian carp have caused significant destruction in the U.S., especially in the Mississippi River and its tributaries. But let's talk a little about where they come from. Carp were first brought from Asia to the U.S. in the 1970s by companies trying to clean their catfish ponds. They thrive because they are filter feeders, consuming floating materials and food in the water, such as plankton and any small particles. They did their job well until a flood allowed them to escape into the Mississippi River basin, where they quickly multiplied into millions. With their aggressive nature, voracious appetite, and high reproductive rate, Asian carp are decimating the floating organisms that are crucial in the aquatic food chain. They have wiped out many local fish species along their path, destroying the ecosystems they invade. These rivers are completely overrun by these fish. Many states are trying everything to stop the spread of carp, but carp are strong and adept at avoiding capture. They've even organized competitions to try to eliminate them. And since this is America, of course, in this sport, they shoot the fish. I'm just kidding, they use bows. For example, in Kentucky, they hold bow fishing tournaments where participants try to kill as many carp as possible, with the winning team taking home $10,000. If you can't join the competition, don't worry. You can help combat this invasive species simply by eating them. Yeah, carp are quite healthy, packed with vitamins and minerals, and great for overall health. But they do have a lot of bones, which is the main reason Americans don't eat them. However, in Asia, they are a popular dish. Next, we have wild boars, an animal you might encounter while it's ravaging farmers' crops. Wild boars originated from Eurasia but were brought to the Americas about 500 years ago for food. However, they escaped, and you can guess what happened next. This place has become their paradise, and their numbers have exploded. There are now about 6 to 9 million wild boars in the U.S. Now, let's discuss why these animals reproduce so quickly. First, wild boars are omnivores, so their menu is quite extensive. Plants, insects, small animals, and much more. They leave nothing for native animals. You might wonder why the predators there don't eat wild boars. Yeah, the answer is that they do, but they can't keep up. Wild boars can reproduce faster than any other large mammal, having about 1.5 litters per year, with each litter containing 4 to 12 piglets. Moreover, they live in groups for protection against predators. One of the most destructive habits of wild boars is rooting, as they use their snouts to dig in the ground for food, destroying ecosystems and native plants. And get this, they have this nasty habit of taking baths. Yep, they love rolling around in mud puddles and sometimes even go potty in the water. Ooh, that's disgusting. This spreads parasites and diseases to native animals and local people. Of course, Americans won't surrender to fate. They've tackled this issue in true American style by shooting them, trapping them, and using poison. Sometimes they even use helicopters to hunt them. You can experience this thrill for just $6,000. But I'd rather spend that money on McDonald's for a year. The invasive cane toad is one of the most destructive animal species on the planet and has, in many cases, destroyed entire ecosystems. Native to Central and South America, they were introduced to Australia, the Philippines, Japan, and the US to control insect populations, but they ended up wreaking havoc on local ecosystems. Let's focus on Australia, as it is perhaps the most heavily impacted area. In 1935, 102 cane toads were released into the wild with the hope that they would eat the larvae, destroying sugarcane fields. However, who would sit still when there's a whole new land to explore? They wandered across the Australian continent, eating everything from birds, insects, small reptiles, rodents, and even dog food, except for the sugarcane grubs. The larvae are underground, feeding on the sugarcane from below, so how could the toads eat them? This was likely an unexpected failure for scientists. Today, there are about 1.5 billion cane toads in Australia, and that number is rising. They possess a chemical defense system that can be deadly. The surface of the cane toad has toxic glands, and if enough is ingested, this toxin can cause humans to experience difficulty breathing and even blindness. However, to native predators, cane toads are a novel, tasty, and free meal because there are too many of them. But that also becomes their last meal. The toxin is potent enough to kill a large crocodile, and they typically die within about 15 minutes. Thus, they have virtually no natural enemies here, contributing to a severe decline in many native animal populations. The good news is that after nearly a century, some native species have begun to adapt to the cane toad's toxins and have developed ways to combat them. For example, crows in Australia have figured out how to flip the toads over and eat the non-toxic parts like the legs, tongue, or intestines. Additionally, when food becomes scarce, they switch to a tastier snack: smaller toads. Finally, if you live in Australia and spot a cane toad, place it in the refrigerator for 24 hours and then put it in the freezer to ensure a peaceful death. The brown tree snake, a native of Papua New Guinea, was accidentally introduced to Guam in the 1940s through U.S. military shipments after World War II. They can grow up to 10 feet long, but typically they are around 3 feet. Aggressive and venomous, though not dangerous to humans, the brown tree snake has no natural enemies on Guam and quickly took over the entire island. Today, there are about 2 million of these snakes on the island. Brown tree snakes enjoy eating rodents, lizards, and insects, but birds are their favorite meal. The birds on Guam had adapted to living in an environment without snakes and were unaware of the danger posed by these slithering sticks until the snakes started eating them. The voracious appetite of this snake has led to the extinction of 9 out of 13 bird species on the island, as well as 3 lizard species. This has drastically altered the ecosystem. Without birds, trees cannot disperse their seeds effectively. If you take a stroll on Guam, I advise you to be cautious of any sticks you see. They could very well be brown tree snakes. I just told you. They also cause significant disruptions by frequently causing power outages when they accidentally crawl onto power lines, leading to short circuits. Don't be too surprised if you wake up to find a brown tree snake next to you, as they can enter your home through ventilation systems or drainage pipes. Don't worry, authorities are fighting back by using helicopters to drop thousands of poison mice into trees for the snakes to eat. This free meal will be their last. To prevent them from spreading to other islands, detection dog teams have been established to sniff out brown tree snakes hiding in cargo. Come on out, buddy. We'll let you fly first class. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll be searching for other invasive species in the next video.